Hey, welcome to Trixaw. Today we'll be analyzing this graph with calculus. Let's start with the first red point. So what do we know about this point? We know that the first derivative at this point is equal to 0 because the tangential line is horizontal. We also know that the second derivative at this point is greater than 0 because the graph is going from decreasing to increasing. These are characteristics of a relative minimum, when the first derivative is equal to 0 and the second derivative is greater than 0. Let's move on to our second red point. This is a point of inflection, a POI. We know at this point the second derivative is equal to 0 because the concavity is changing on both sides of these points. At the vertical asymptote, the derivatives are not defined because there's no point there. Let's move on to our third red dot. So we know that this is a relative minimum, which again means that the first derivative is equal to 0 and the second derivative is greater than 0. So our fourth point again is a POI, point of inflection, because the concavity is changing from concave up to concave down, so we know that the second derivative is equal to 0. Now let's move on to our fifth red dot. We know that this is a relative maximum, which means again the first derivative is equal to 0, but the second derivative is less than 0 because the graph is going from increasing to decreasing. Let's move on to our next red dot. So again, we know that this is a relative minima, so we can say the first derivative is equal to 0 and the second derivative is greater than 0 because the graph is going from decreasing to increasing. Now, something you need to know, very important, is that at sharp turns, the one I'm circling over here, there is no defined derivative, first or second. So at this point, we do not know what the derivative is. And the reason for that is because you can draw many different tangential lines to this point that all work, which means that the derivative is not defined. Thank you for watching this video. This is one of my short videos. I hope you enjoyed it.